Welcome to the Green Wasp Removal YouTube channel. Today's episode is all about our local Polistes wasps who are native and beneficial for our local ecosystems, such as the northern paper wasp, the Polistes Fuscatus, and the Polistes Metricus. We're going to show you how we can even feed them by hand. They're so docile in the springtime while they're out house hunting, so we don't want you to be afraid of these wasps. We want you to encourage those wasps to do what they do naturally on your property, which is help you control all the local pest insects that they will hunt for you all summer. We'll show you where and why they engage in nesting behavior and how you can encourage them to be where you want them to be and discourage them from being where you don't want them to be. It's a relatively simple process to direct them and to redirect them as needed, and we'll try to give you some pointers on that. There's plenty of non-toxic, natural ways to deal with wasps and avoid using insecticides that are poisonous to your local property and your family and your pets. The goal is to encourage you and show you a way to live with your native local wasps in a way that's mutually beneficial. So we'll start here on April 10th, 2023, which was the date we first saw one of our native beneficial wasps for the first time of the 2023 season. Today we're on the lookout for queen wasps, or foundresses in the Polistes species. Hopefully we'll find up in this space in a soffit of a roof eaves some native Polistes wasps. In the past, we've created kind of a door here out of the soffit piece that can be easily folded down for observational purposes. What you see here is a nest that was built last year. If you saw one of our other videos, and there was a series on this nest. Yep, there's one right there. They have returned back to where they nested last season, which is great, because these are the native wasps we've been hoping to find here. Metricus and Fuscatus, that's the northern paper wasp. That's good news that they're coming back again. We're going to hope they have a nice successful colony here. And we'll just observe them for the season and try not to disturb them too much. April 11th, 2023. Here we see a native wasp from North America. It's a Polistes. Looks like a Polistes Fuscatus. We're going to try to capture this wasp just to identify it, make sure it's what we think it is. Probably Polistes Fuscatus. That's a northern paper wasp. These are native wasps, very important to the ecosystem here in North America, Northeast Indiana, especially where we are. We like to see them out here getting established in the spring. This is probably a fertile gyn who will become a queen here once she decides where she wants to nest and starts to build a nest and lays her eggs that have been fertilized last season when she mated in the fall. They'll store the male sperm when they mate in the fall, and they'll keep it inside their bodies until the spring when they will use it to fertilize their eggs. We're going to try to capture this wasp so we can get a closer look at it. Then we're going to release it because we want these to be established here in the local ecosystem. This is not the only coloration they have, but probably that's what this is. So we're going to go ahead and let her go and encourage her to nest out here. My friend, you go ahead and take off. There she goes. April 11th, 2023. Here our honey dish has attracted a native Polistes wasp. Looks like a northern paper wasp. Could be a Metricus. We're hoping to see these get established here. It's good to see these native Polistes here. We always hope to help them get established in this area because they are the natives, the native wasps we need. Very beneficial insects here in the northeastern part of Indiana and North America in general. These are not invasive, so if you see these around your area, make sure you protect them as opposed to killing them or poisoning them. These are the guys you need in your neighborhood to help you control pest populations of insects. They eat up all the caterpillars and soft-bodied insects that attack your garden, and they keep all of that pest insect population under control. That's why we call them biological control agents. They're great at doing that, and they reduce humans' need for insecticides in the yard, in the garden, in the ecosystem in general. So whenever you see these wasps, they're your friends. Treat them that way. As you can see, we're right next to this wasp while she feeds on the honey we set for her. And she's not attacking us. They don't do that. Unless you attack them in their nest directly, they just leave you alone. They're only interested in nectar. That's why they like honey. So we're just going to let her feed and establish her nest and go wherever she wants to go. April 12th, 2023. We do have some initial nesting behavior happening from a native Polistes wasp. Looks like a Fuscatus, possibly a Metricus. It's been trying to find a place to live here in the eaves under the barn. She's active in looking for a place to build a nest. Hopefully she'll build right here. So we're gonna let her do her thing. So we're gonna let her get established and get comfortable here. And hopefully she'll make a nest for us right under these eaves. We're gonna try to preserve this whole barn eaves for just our local Metricus wasps and local Fuscatus wasps, which are Polistes that belong in North America and are not invasive. Here's something we often see in the barn. Wherever there's barn windows, we often will see queen wasps like this. Looks like a Polistes Fuscatus, maybe a Metricus. It's a native Polistes regardless. They'll get stuck in the windows, and rather than let them stay there stuck, we tend to capture them and release them outside so that they don't dehydrate and die trying to get out of the windows. So we'll capture this guy, gal more appropriately, and we'll set her loose outside so she can go propagate. She is a beautiful Fuscatus female, probably ready to start her nest for the season, so we're going to let her right out of there so she can find a place to nest. There she goes. It's April 13th, 2023, and we are out in the field today at our barn, and we're going to try to feed a wild Polistes Metricus or a wild Polistes Fuscatus, the northern paper wasp. These are our local beneficial wasps that we always like to see. When they come out in the springtime, they usually will try to set up their nest somewhere along this barn eaves, one side of the barn or the other, sometimes all of them. So we're going to hope we can find a wasp here that will allow us to feed it by hand. And I want to illustrate exactly how docile most of these wasps are, especially in the spring. They don't have nests yet to protect. They're just out in the spring looking for somewhere to nest. They just got out of hibernation, a lot of them, and they're hungry. So if you try this at home, be aware if you have a sting allergy or something, be very, very careful. But otherwise, I have never been stung doing this, and you might try it. It's always fun. We're going to dip our stick into this honey. And we're going to take a little bit of that honey over to the barn door where we've seen her just sort of resting. and maybe she'll let us feed her. So this wasp is about to try to find a place to make a nest. So it's resting here on the barn door, and eventually it'll go up under these eaves somewhere along here, and it will find itself a place to make a nest. So we're going to let it do that rather than capture it. We're only capturing Polistes diminula right now, the invasive species, so that we can allow these Metricus and these Fuscatus to take this area as their native habitat without competition, at least in this specific space on this property, from the Polistes diminula. So we're going to try to see if she'll take a feeding from a little stick we dipped in the honey. And if we move slowly enough and she's hungry enough, she may allow us to feed her by hand. There she goes. Sure enough, she's pretty hungry. She hasn't eaten much as she's come out of hibernation. So as you can see here, the honey is attractive to her because it's a sweet carbohydrate fluid, and that is what they eat this time of year, usually in the form of nectar and honeydew off of plants. But honey is made from nectar by bees, so it's very close to what they make themselves. Wasps actually make a form of honey on their own. So they're familiar with nectar regurgitated into honey. So it's easy for them to adapt to eating bees' honey. We'll see if she'll walk onto the stick. A lot of times they will follow the stick. There you go. And if she'll actually get onto this stick, then we'll move her toward the camera so you can get a better look at her. There she goes. Go ahead, Owen, you're safe. You're amongst friends. So, as you can see, she's not super aggressive. She's more hungry than aggressive, that's for sure. She's pretty glad to have something to eat. It's not so easy to find food yet in the spring, but all the flowers around here are starting to bloom. So as she wakes up a little more, she'll be out there foraging. And hopefully she'll set up a nest right here at the barn in the wild, because we're trying to make her comfortable here. And we're trying to remove a lot of the Polistes diminula, the invasive species that aggressively nests around here. And we're capturing those and putting them into captivity so that these guys are natural wasps who are native and beneficial to this area, can thrive and nest around here a little more easily without that competition from the diminula. So wherever we see diminula trying to nest, we're capturing them and putting them into a habitat where we're hoping they'll build a nest for us in captivity. So we're going to go now and try to put her on the honey dish so she'll be familiar with where that food is. I'm going to take her for a little walk here. There you go. Here is a whole bunch of honey for you. So why don't you jump in there? Ideally, she'll just climb right on that ceramic bird, and she'll go ahead and realize that that's where all her food is. There she goes. That's it. Now she knows where to eat. Hopefully she'll be pretty excited to hang out around here now, and she'll set up a nest. We'll let you know how it goes. She's fueled up. Hopefully she'll get busy making a nest here pretty soon. We'll just let her take care of business. So here's our new friend. I think she'll be a friend of the property and take care of our garden this year. Help us deal with some of the local pests around here. Our local Polistes native. She's a very beneficial insect here in upstate Indiana. She just let us feed her by hand, even though it's the first time we've met. And now she's just relaxing on the honey dish that we showed her. Hopefully she'll make a nest around here for us and help us maintain the garden and keep some of the pest insects out of the property. She'll feed the pest insects to her larvae, and that's how she helps control the local pest population as a biological control agent. She's very good at that. So we want as many of these around as we can get. So if you see any wasps like this, darker brownish maroon, they're native to North America and you want them on your property. They're just good friends to have. As you can see, not only is she not attacking me or stinging me, she actually let me feed her by hand. And she's very docile this time of year. There's no nest to protect. She's just a new wasp out of hibernation. Hopefully a fertile queen. We'll see how it goes. So right after we hand fed our first friend, another one showed up at the honey dish, looking to make a nest around this area, it looked like. Maybe she'll make a nest right here underneath the honey. You never know. It's not a bad spot for one. When they're looking for a place to nest, you'll see them circling around underneath the eaves or an overhang like this often. This one looked like a native Polistes Fuscatus, northern paper wasp, which is very beneficial in this area. Part of the native natural ecosystem around here. So they're very important to the environment in this part of upstate Indiana and in North America in general. As you can see here, she's having a little honey snack. This shot was in slow motion just so you can see how her mouth parts work. The tubes that come out of her mouth assist her with eating liquids. And she has kind of a tongue-like structure that comes out and also laps up some of the honey. They're beautiful wasps, a lot of beautiful colors, reds, maroons, rust colors, black, yellow. Often they have several different types of colors on them. These are the native good guys that you want to see around your property as much as possible. They're very docile toward humans. They only attack anything, animal or human, if they're directly threatened. I mean, you really have to go after their nest and make them extremely uncomfortable in order for them to sting. Otherwise, they just pretty much ignore humans, fly around you. They might buzz close to you. They might even land on you sometimes to check you out, see if you smell like a flower or something that they could eat. Otherwise, they leave you alone. So the more you see of these around your property, the better your local ecosystem's going to do. They're great biological control agents. You want to make sure that you don't poison or spray any type of wasp that looks like these. These are the good guys. They're not invasives, and we need them in upstate Indiana. We need them all over North America. Just as you see this wasp doing, many of these types of Polistes wasps, many of the species we see, are going to be looking for places to live this time of year in the spring, especially on hot days. This was an unseasonably hot day in April of 23, and it ended up being warm enough that many wasps came out. Many of the queens who had hibernated over the winter came out and started looking for places to live. So they're going to look under eaves, they're going to look under overhangs, they're going to find sometimes dark enclosed spaces, and we'll get into some of that a little bit later in the video, places they like to live. But essentially this is the sort of place they're going to like to live. And you want to let them set up as much as you can if they're not directly around somewhere where children are going to get stung, or if there's something that is so close to a person it's going to disturb them every time you go by. If it's anything other than that, just let them be wherever they set up. They really are good for your property. One place to look for them if you want to see if you have any spring queens out engaging in nesting behavior is anywhere you have old weathered wood, ultraviolet damaged wood. That's what they use to collect wood fiber and mix with their saliva to build their nest. So if you have any wood like that around your property, keep an eye on it, because this time of year and throughout the warm months where they're building nests, you will see wood collection happening, foraging for wood. And that's what these wasps are doing here. In the next few clips we'll show you what this looks like. And it's a very good sign. If you see these around your property doing this, they're doing nest building. And that means your local ecosystem will have some great nests built. What the wasps are doing are collecting little balls of this wood material that they pull off of old pieces of wood. And they strip that wood off and they take it and roll it up into a little ball. And they carry that ball under their mandibles, under their chin, and they bring it back to the nest. And that's what they will build the nest with. Each cell is constructed with this wood fiber, and it's a mixture of fiber, wood fiber, and cellulose and saliva that they turn into a paper mache-like substance that all wasp nests are made out of. Sometimes when people see wasps doing this, collecting wood fiber for their nest building, they mistakenly believe the wasps are eating the wood. It does appear that they're doing that. It does look like that. They're using their mouth to chew up this wood, so it almost looks like they're acting like termites that will chew through wood and eat some of the wood to sustain themselves. That is not what's happening here. So whenever you see a wasp doing this, don't think that you're getting attacked by a termite-like insect that's going to destroy your property. They don't do that. They take very small amounts of wood off the very surface of the wood, and it's basically taking just the ultraviolet damaged wood off. So you'll see that eventually they'll start to expose the healthier, older wood underneath the layer that's been damaged by the sun. So in the end, just like humans do, we harvest timber to build our homes, and we turn them into 2x4s and plank boards. They're doing the same thing. They're just collecting wood to build their homes. Usually what they'll do is they're looking for a place like this to find a good spot to build their nest. They love overhangs, eaves. This sort of space is great for them. So if you see wasps doing this on your property, kind of circling around various parts of your property that look like this, they are looking for a spot to build their nest. And you'll see them start walking around in circles on the surface of a overhang, for example. And you'll notice that if you watch it long enough, they'll eventually come back with the wood they collected in the wild, the wood fiber, the little balls of wood that they collect. They bring it back, and they'll start to apply it to the surface of this eaves structure. And that will become the beginnings of their nest. Here we have several of our native wasps. These look like Polistes Fuscatus, our northern paper wasp. Great for the local ecosystem. They're out foraging for wood fiber today. There's several of them here, 3 or 4 at a time. So over the next 10 minutes or so of this video, we're going to show you some clips of the local native beneficial wasps that we have here in our mini ecosystem. collecting material to go and build their houses with. These wasps are clearly foundress queens or subordinate queens helping the foundress queens, because what they're doing is foraging for wood fiber to bring it back to build the nest, and they only do this if they have an active nest that they're constructing. So we're just going to let you hear the ambient sound of the neighborhood they're in while they're doing their work. We'll catch up with you in a few minutes to go over some more of the nesting behaviors that they show when they're looking for a place to live. So we've seen a number of native Polistes species out today, which is great. Polistes Fuscatus, Polistes Metricus, that's what we want in this area. They're good for the local ecosystem. There's been a number of them foraging for wood, so they're building nests around the area, and that's what we want. It appears so far that clearing out the Polistes diminula and capturing them as they come in has resulted in more of these native wasps coming into the area and staying longer. So here you see more of our native Polistes doing some house hunting under the eaves of the barn. They'll circle around the area that they might want to nest in. They'll begin to walk on the surface of the eaves, and they'll circle back and forth around the area they're thinking about building a nest, and that's what we want to see. The more nests we can establish on our property, the less problems we're going to have with pest insects throughout the summer months, all the way through the fall. April 15th, 2023. We have probably half a dozen local wasps, native species, collecting wood fiber from this old garden gate. These wasps are all building nests locally, which is a good sign for our ecosystem because they're all beneficial natives and we want them here. So as you can see here, there's several of our local native beneficial Polistes wasps, mostly northern paper wasps today, the Polistes Fuscatus, using these old wooden gates at the garden to collect their wood for their nest building activities. And that's great. That's what we want to see. That's why we're getting rid of the Polistes diminula around the area here, so that they don't have to compete with the Polistes diminula, the invasives. You can see on this wood frame where the wasps have chewed away the wood that was the grayed out, solar damaged wood, ultraviolet light damaged wood. That's the type of wood that they'll forage to build their nests. So there's an old exterior toy chest here for outdoor toys. We've been seeing Polistes wasps coming and going from the backs and the corners. So when you see this behavior in the springtime, you want to make sure not to allow them to get established here. A bunch of our native Polistes decided they want to make nests in here, which obviously we can't allow. So when you find wasps like this, well, they're out in the springtime, they're looking for places to live. And they will find any enclosed area and try to build a nest in there. So they like old chests and things you leave on your porch, that kind of thing. So you have to kind of go through this stuff and deny them entry, or they will get established here and begin defending a nest. And you don't want to get to that stage. You just want to catch them here while they're still in the process of house hunting. So this wasp is hunting for a good place to live. So don't be panicked when you see them doing this type of behavior. All they're doing is trying to figure out, hey, maybe this is a nice house. So you'll notice I'm standing right next to them while they're doing their house hunting. They're not attacking me. Polistes are pretty docile. They're just looking for what might work for nest building. And what you want to do when you see them attracted to a particular space, if you don't want them there, you just have to make that space less attractive to them. So she's trying to find a dark protected space to build her nest. And what we're trying to do is encourage them to be on the property, but not be in places where they will be exposing children, for example, to the danger of a sting risk. So as she's trying to find a place to live, just to build her home, we're just trying to let her understand she can't build here. And that way they'll just go somewhere else. So if you have a lot of loose items like this inside your bin, and they just want to live here because there's so many nice places to crawl into, like this thing, they'll build a nest right inside this. So what you want to do is just secure this stuff in a sealed bin that doesn't have holes in it temporarily. And then after the nesting season's completed, once you get toward midsummer and all their nests are established, you can refill your bin with whatever you want. But it's very simple to simply seal this stuff into a different container temporarily. Just move it during the springtime. So you can't stay here, buddy. You got to take off. I know you're just doing your job looking for a house, but we got to get you out of here, so time to go. There you go. And obviously when you see them in a place where people are going to be, especially children, you do not want to ever spray toxic wasp spray just to sort of keep them away from the area, because you don't want all of that poison all over your family or your pets or anything else or any of the local ecosystem that is healthy. All of the biology that's connected to this one spot should be allowed to live without chemical intervention. So never spray wasp poison anywhere. If you need them away from a particular area, there's non-toxic scents you can use, and there's just simply a matter of filling holes and moving things in a way that it makes it less attractive to wasps. They want to find a place to make a nest. Over here in this corner of this gate, also where children come and go, we saw a Fuscatus, a local beneficial wasp, trying to make a nest right in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to close that off temporarily so that they won't use that space. And then once they've established a nest elsewhere, we'll just throw this paper out again. But you don't want somebody living in here when they're that close to people. You want to just kind of let them go to a different spot, like these eaves under the barn. So this is the behavior we want. We want them out looking around the barns and different places where they might be able to find a nice spot to live. You see them out exploring, and that's what we're looking for. These are good places for a wasp to live, where there's no children standing by and playing with the things in the bin. So we want to attract them to the eaves of the barn where they can safely build. That's it for today's episode. As always, we appreciate you being here. Please stay tuned for more. Have a good one.